Hello, everybody. Um, oh my goodness, I lost my thought. I do that sometimes. Some of that is old age and some of it isn't. But the next project I'm about to work on is a big project because I have a two four-wheelers that have to be moved. Both of them, one of them's getting really old and its battery is back on, so we're gonna and we did get a new battery, but I think there's something in the wiring system. And last year, I think it was last year, my four-wheeler went down. First it was the band that operates everything. It needed a new one of those, and we got that done, and it still won't start. And when it does start, it won't stay running. So another thing we got to work on. That was our storage for those things. We have a golf cart. You might have seen it in one of our videos. It's an old one. My husband, I think, did some kind of trade to get it. And it ran great for a couple of years, but it is having some kind of electrical issue, which apparently living in such a humid environment causes. Which, I mean, I should have known that. My husband, too. We were very used to a very dry climate there in Lubbock, so this is a big change for us. Um, but we have a dream here, and how far it'll get, I don't know. But, you know, it's not to turn this into some big, elaborate, off-grid kind of thing, because we really don't want to go off-grid. On-grid, we are, in a way, connected to our businesses, and we are supporting them and keeping them operational. Now, our electricity out here is hydro electricity. It's all operated, the plants are operated by dams. And unless, because of where we live, we're in a mountainous region, we get a lot of lightning. Our electricity operates real good. You will see some fluctuations when they're changing something, but it's usually brief and boom, it's over. No problems. Our electricity out here is actually quite reliable. The only time it wasn't was when our town got hit by one of the tornadoes this last summer. I think we went 2.5, maybe 3 days without electricity. And boy, was that an eye-opener for my husband as well, because I've always been this kind of, you need to set up backup. I'm a backup kind of person. And, you know, you make sure you have enough supplies. You make sure you have enough water. Our well is a very deep well to reach the reservoir. I think it was over 700 foot. So it's a very deep well compared to the wells in Texas. But I can drink my water here because I don't have all the farm stuff that we got when we were living on the outskirts, you know, of Lubbock, because I prefer to be in more rural areas than cities. As a child, cities were the places of predators. And though in places like this, you do have your predators. Don't be fooled. And I wasn't fooled as a kid, but there are less. And after learning how to deal with the kind of predators that are all over Chicago during the 60s, 70s, and some 80s, I know how to deal with that kind of predator. Out here, you almost feel a little more vulnerable in a forest because there's a lot you can't see. And you do manage to clear enough to be able to get views that you need. But it takes some good old-fashioned foresting work to do it. But we are very careful with our forest. I promised my mother I would not deforest this land. I gave her my word, and I will not deforest it. It's not a great big plot of land. Uh, the house is big because both of my parents had a lot of things they liked to do. My mother was a painter. She did oil and acrylic, beautiful, incredible paintings that many people have tried to get me to give up. And the ones Mom told me to give away to the grandkids, not just my children, but my sister's children, we did. Now, I do have some paintings for my other sister's children, but I don't have the money to ship them because these have to be packaged properly to ship them. So, but now we have found that we have one tool that we absolutely need to focus on saving up money to get, and that's the only reason I have my Cash App in the description of my channel. I'm not raising money to support my channel. I'm a 60-year-old woman who worked 35 of her 60 years and paid my Social Security. I had to have not only a triple bypass, but the bypasses in my legs, so I would not have to have my legs amputated. And it was a severe surgery, and the healing from that is going to take as long as it took for me to get that sick, which was a long time actually. I fought it off for many years, but I was in a position where I could not maintain it. And so I deteriorated. But I have been working on rebuilding myself, and during that time, things got better. You know, financially for my husband, myself, he found a job and he got us finally into our own home again, which I love my independence. My children love their independence, and I would not have it any other way. The only thing I wish is that they were closer. Because now my kids, my son and my daughter, my youngest two, they are very close, and, you know, they have a lot of things in common. They have built a good relationship, and they are very protective of each other, and I like that. You know, you can only hope and pray that that's the kind of bond your children will develop with each other. My siblings and I were basically denied that because of the lifestyle my parents chose to live because of their environment. So, and being an adult now, I actually understand the mindsets that I saw in my parents, and I understand them far better now because I've had many of these struggles that my parents had on top of their marital issues. And I saw how damaging the marital issues were because they were being unattended due to trying to survive in an economy that was beginning to sour. This is the late 70s, mid to late 70s. We did not have an economic boom. Middle class didn't. In fact, they lost money during the Reagan years. The wealthy people did extremely well. That's why the Reagan administration is always spoken of so highly. If you were to speak to the boomers about that generation, or about that era, they would give you a far different picture. Because the cost of living was going up, fuel prices were going up. You know, I can remember when milk went from 40 cents for a gallon to 60 cents for a gallon. And I even can remember what I was doing the first time I saw a gas station sign that said 99 cents for gas. I was blown away at the cost of gas. It was like almost, it felt like overnight. In fact, we were on our way in the car to the gas station to fill it up, and we were accustomed to paying 65 to 70 cents, maybe 72 at Shell or one of the bigger gas producers. So when I saw it hit 99 in the 80s during Reagan, I was, wow, you know, and they say Reaganomics worked. They worked about as well for the people as it worked, as Bidenomics does. So, all right, guys, I'm stalling, I guess. I'm having such a wonderful afternoon, and it's still not gotten real hot here. And when it does, because of the forest, it gets very humid. So if it feels like 85 here, it's actually 95 up towards closer to the woods. One of the things that we've done that have actually been a big help with our electric bill and keeping our house cooler is we use our air conditioning in our home. We have central heat and central air, but we only use it when the outside temperature hitting our house gets to a higher level and is set in the upper 70s. I don't do that 60. I am not about to freeze myself out, or my husband, or my dog. I have hot flashes. I'll sit in front of a fan before I will touch that thermostat. And we have one that sits over our bed, and all night long I am kicking on and kicking off the covers. And when our air conditioning is on, we also use them so that the air conditioning is not kicking on as frequently. And we run them on, you know, low to medium, depending on how much of the electricity we've got to use. Now, this is today's world, and our younger generations have been spoiled. That was the generation that got spoiled too much. So the next generation is going to have less, right? That is how it works. They call them fads, they call them trends, they call them all kinds of things throughout history. But that's what they're referencing, is these economic shocks that take place in our societies as our country goes through its growing pains. Now, our government is trying to force those growing pains to become extreme. And they may have a success with it because the American people are angry about the population numbers they just threw at us, forced us to accept without any vetting, without any, you know, the problem is not the border. The problem is the vetting process to get them across the border. Proper, good immigrants. They don't even have to apply, ever have they had to apply for citizenship. They could have continued to keep their citizenship and work here, and they sent money home to help their country. Now, if that is not a cooperation between countries, I don't know what it is. And that's just the citizens cooperating. I want to see that again. But because of our government's lies to the immigrants, we need to find a way to figure out who is here to actually help our country grow and help their own country grow. Not the crime, the country. If they can see how Americans are, how Americans can get their government to shift in a direction they want it to, without civil war, because that's the difference. Now, attacks on society does not make it a civil war. You show me a time in American history where there were not attacks by different believers of different communities. Some act violently, some don't. That's why the vetting process is so important. Well, since they skipped that, we're going to have to vet them ourselves. And the way you do that is you don't treat them with the evil eye right off the bat. Because they didn't go through the vetting process, most of them have not learned English yet. This is how you live with an immigrant influx. We learned how to do it in Texas, and many of the illegal immigrants in my country were actually friends of mine. They were good people. Now, I know what the media shows. They show what gets the clicks. But I don't trust the media's view. It's too narrow for me. I like a wider view. And YouTube, I was starting to find that on X, but too many people were thinking, well, I've got the freedom now to say and do whatever I want. I can threaten people. I can commit crimes. I can do all kinds of things and record it and put it on X, and nobody's going to do anything about it. Well, I hate to inform you, if that's what you're thinking about X, because that is kind of how it's promoted. I got a membership with them for a year because I am a fan of Tesla, and I am a Tesla's technology, and I am a fan of Elon Musk's intelligence and his ability to engineer that intelligence into a viable, usable machine. That's what I admire. His personal life, I don't want to know. I don't care. It's not my business. My business is he building anything that I can not only afford, but actually apply to make things better in my life? For me, it's where's this good technology? Because I spend probably half my electric bill charging batteries for my electric saws and my other electric tools. And so that's half my electric bill. And to combat that necessary hike in my electric bill, because I also have a garden room in my home, so I have to watch what my costs go like. And it's really hard sometimes to find the right balance because I need my tools. They do make it easier, especially at my age. 20 years ago, when I was in my 40s, I would have grabbed a regular saw, hand saw, and it might have taken me a day or two to get it, but I would have cut down a 30, 40-foot tree like I now do with my electric chainsaw, but it only takes me about an hour or so to actually do it. Now, my husband does the cutting of the trees that go above 30 foot because he operates the big gas chainsaw that can handle those. And I don't have the endurance in my strength to be able to manage to do it properly without putting myself at risk. So I'm fine with downsizing my tools and letting him handle those other things. And I help him. I don't try to converse with him. I stand quietly and wait for him to give me a direction, to give me what he needs next. Because he is trying to do something without hurting either one of us. And his focus doesn't need to be on where I'm standing. His focus needs to be on where he wants that tree to come down. So I have learned that silence is golden. It allows a person to dedicate their focus on what they're trying to achieve. Now, too much silence is not good, of course. Once the job is achieved, you come together, you have your success, and you enjoy it. And then you go on to the next task of processing that tree. And that's how it works here. That's what we do. That's why we don't have stacks and stacks of lumber. It will come to that point as time goes on, because right now we've probably got, for the two of us and the way I operate our household, 2 years of firewood. Now, if I start using my firewood in a different manner, of course it's going to go down, but I still have an abundance of fallen trees, which actually I kind of like to use to get the firewood fire going. They burn up faster, yes, but they burn hotter because they're burning faster. And I keep cedarwood expressly for that. I have um, I have several different kinds of trees in my forest, not just one. And I like that. That means I don't have an abundance of a certain type of wood that somebody would want to come in here and harvest, because of course I wouldn't do it. I mean, I have a whole bunch of trees that do have to come down because they're too close to the house. My parents ran out of money, so they could not get it all cut back away from the house for the height of these trees. Some of these trees, here, I'll give you a peek. See the sky up there? That's over 50 foot tall. And so there's a lot of work. Now, those trees, if they come down, sorry about my hand, if they come down, it's not going to destroy my house. It will destroy my front porch, but it won't destroy my entire house. And living in a place like this, you have to think of things like that. So if you're thinking you're going to go out and make up a homestead and get all these wonderful... My daughter, on 1 acre lot in Lubbock, Texas, well, shallow water, she is putting in a homestead, a small, easy to maintain, is the best way to put it. With weather, she says some trouble, but with her garden, because she's also getting ready to put in some goats, which is kind of my dream. I want a few goats, and I do want to be kind of picky about it, because I want the goats for, now a lot of people are going to cringe, the meat as they become adults and older. I need the milk for milk, and I need the milk for cheese. So I'm kind of, where do I do this? I do want to get a breeding pair of goats, because the babies, if I'm not wanting to keep them for a specific reason, then I can sell those to my neighbors a lot cheaper than they can buy it from somebody else, because the goat is just a cost I can't afford right now. I can only focus on their parents. And that sounds terrible, but it is a way to also give my community some animals to help make things better for them. So that's kind of my goal. And now we got to get us a sawmill. You know, we've been looking at them, of course, on Amazon is usually the cheapest place to find one, or Home Depot or something like that. We need one that can be moved around the property until we are ready to build our own sawmill, which I do hope we will be able to do. because maintaining a forest is a lot more than just cutting down trees and, getting rid of them. It's turning those trees into something very useful for your home. Um, After I get my garden done, it has to be my priority. So, and my water system. After those two are done, I intend on going through my entire woods and finding the straightest small trees, not saplings, small trees. And I'm going to take them out because I'm going to build a small fence. Nothing elaborate, nothing. It's just a more of a marker of our property line. Everybody says, oh, you need to get this. No, I just need it for a marker of my own property line. I have trees at the end of my property line, right at the end. I do not intend on taking those trees out. I do intend to get rid of some of the lower branches. And then I'm going to take the wood from all the small trees that I cut down and nail it right along that tree line, because it's almost a perfect line. And it seems like that way I don't have to buy materials, maybe nails, but I now have my property marked out so I don't infringe on my neighbor's property. So I can show that I am a respectful homesteader in the area. And so, yeah, I'm hoping. Okay, I gotta get off here. This is a long one. I'll talk to y'all later.